Good morning. Cloudy and dull this morning. A little bit of mist and hardly a draft of wind, so I'm just going to use the mic on the camera. It's a wonderful day for going for a walk in the woods. We'll cross over the wet dam. It's really wet this morning. See this? We had a little bit of from the rain yesterday. I'm going to build this up. This is a cherry tree here. This is another serviceberry. So outside of this now, it's everything fend for itself. I have quite a few young spruce seedlings growing up all over. So the old ones, like that one there, and this big one up here, I'm planning on taking down. Now you're looking through this, all of the bushes with darker bark on them, that's serviceberry. The lighter ones are trembling aspen. I think I mentioned in the tour down by the house that I lose my serviceberry harvest every year. And it's because of the cedar pine rust. Now, cedar because it was discovered in a juniper that was misnamed a cedar. And this is a juniper. And I think I have two more look in the fall. I'll get a picture online actually of what rust fungus looks like on this one. So I'm thinking about cutting back. This is a prostrate juniper. There's not many right here. But if I cut this one back, there's one up right there that actually looks like the fungus killed it. And hopefully get a harvest of serviceberry in this area the next year if I just cut down the juniper that's in just this area. I remember when that pine was just a little tiny seedling, and so you see those boards around there. It was no way in the way when I put those boards there. There was a moose coming by and constantly eating this apple tree over here. And that's what that leaning part is there. It grew up and all the top of it was dead. It had those two branches and it was underneath the gnarly old dead branches, so it was kind of being protected from the moose continually chewing on it. So it was staying alive, and then it shot up a bunch of things from the roots, and I left one of them, and this is what this is. This is a new growth from the roots. Big delicious apples, and I put that fence around, and it didn't take much of a barrier to keep the moose out of it. I'm kind of hoping. Now this is where I took some cuttings. I took some cuttings off this tree after I done that video about cuttings. I took some cuttings off this tree and put it in the same way. Because I know a couple of people who would like to have this apple tree in their garden. And being that it is a tree grown from seed, there is no other apple tree like that in the world, of course. And for a long time I had the fence up here. And the tree was able to grow up and produce apples. Now, as I was saying, that pine tree, that was a tiny little thing when I put the fence there. This whole area here grew up in the past 15 years with, of course, trembling aspen. And we have some spruce trees growing out of the little makeshift post anchor I put there. These spruce trees here are rather new, and that's a birchen right there, that dark colored sapling. I won't be doing much at all with this over here, really. Technically, this is from the guy that owns that cabin. He kind of uses it as if it's his. But this tree here is on my property. It's an Ida Red. And the moose has taken a few nibbles off the end of it. Last year we had fungus problems, and pretty much all the apples on this tree was just destroyed. They were just rendered inedible. There was some whole trees down here on the pole line. You see the pole line going, the wires going along here. So I took all the trees out of here that was hindering the line. And so this is looking from the other end now. Showed in the last video up against the cliff, but then the line comes out here. So the goal is to do my duty and keep the trees out of these wires. But most, like this tree here, like it's healthy. It's just a matter of Don't let it grow over into the wires, and then whatever is healthy back this way. Leave the healthy stuff, cut down the old raggedy stuff, and let a new batch of young stuff grow up. Now this is mostly, of course, bedrock, so it grows very, very slowly anyway. So I might find something else that grows well on bedrock to put there. I don't know what this is here, but with respect to me working over there around that apple tree and having to get the quad over, this is the easiest way. I come up and I go in around. If I put any fencing along here, I'll have an opening right here to come across, of course, and well, get in with the quad if I wanted to, and also to come across to that Ida red apple tree. An old dead tree here, but sending up quite a few shoots from its roots, so if I can get the dead trunks out without much damage to the young ones growing up, then that's coppicing the tree, right? So back in 2015, I started to cut in here, and then I stopped again because I wasn't sure how I was going to go about tending to the forest. And so all of these young ones here, they've growing up since 2015. And this is the easiest way to get into the top now, since we're over on the cabin road. I'm going to just walk in through here. See, in 2015, not even that tree was there. But now I've got a mess to clean up. So over the winter, there was snow here, but not too much that I couldn't walk through. It was just, I couldn't get up here at the quad, of course, and even with the branches, cleaning up the branches now would be much easier with the snow gone. So I said over the winter, I should just cut as much wood as I can. I had a piece broken on my chainsaw, so actually this has been cut since January the 24th. That's what I've done here. Now, as with respect to coming up from the apple tree on the cliff, the one that gives the big apples, I can put a path in through here. Right there, see, the apple tree is over there. But some things you'll notice, the way the unevenness of the ground is here is mostly due to the fact that this used to be all a vegetable garden. There was potato field all across here. And here there's a little roadway going up to come up this side. I don't know if it's easy to tell on the camera, but there's a flat area. If I go down here and I turn around, you see there's a flat area going up there. A little roadway that they will come up here to this side of the potato garden, potato fields. Not to clean up, as I say, but I'm going to get up here now. It's a nice day for walking around. Like I say, it's kind of cool and cloudy, so I don't even have to wear my sunglasses. I think I covered up one of my honey locusts. I think there's supposed to be another one right there somewhere. Hopefully I didn't damage it too much. The ones that are out, according to the stock, it looks to have survived the winter just fine. Another one right there. And of course, going along, I don't think there are many seedlings growing here, so I might be planting, might be the area that I'll plant trees as soon as it gets them big enough. I'll plant them there. Now, you'll see I got another area I could take actually spruce seedlings and move them down here if I want. That I'll decide once I get this mess cleaned up. This big tree here, he's going to be coming down. He's got green on him, but he is unhealthy. And like I say, just a matter of refreshing. And as I was standing here earlier, I noticed, see the big cracks in the bark? That could be hollow inside. Not a very healthy tree at all. My quad is not running. I think it might be the fuel filter's plugged up. The fuel filter has never been touched on it. But the other day I was up here and I cut down a couple trees right here. And then I noticed without touching any of those little seedlings. I could get my pickup truck right in here. I might have to cut down that little tree there, but that one's dead already. And I could get my pickup truck right in here and down there and pick up all this wood that I got. So that's what I think I'm going to do later today. I don't know how much I've walked in here. If I did walk in this way, it's been a long time ago now anyway. I thought that tree there was actually sick, but when I cut it down, it was actually quite solid all the way through. But over the end of this, it's starting, spruce is starting to take over. See, aspen is a primary species. It's one of the first things that grows up after a forest is cleared. Right now I have in through there, you'll see when I get these sicker trees cut down, there's a lot of spruce seedlings, and there is birch seedlings growing up there. And I'll come in here and I cut back those branches there a bit more so that I don't scratch my truck, and see, I can just bring the truck right in there. And yeah, so that makes me happy, because the truck can take a lot more than the quad can, right? So I'll probably just clean that entire area up using the truck now that I realize that. Cherry is a weird tree. You see this one? It died. And it broke off. That's a piece down on the ground there. As far as what it was like when the other tree was cut off, I don't know. But it's sending up shoots from the roots. This is moose damage. We've got a couple of moose hanging around. I don't know how much damage they're going to do. But all of these little shoots, that's up from the roots of old cherry trees. And cherry trees that have died. So the top dies, sends up more from the roots. This apple tree right here is the same as the apple tree down by the hands. It tastes pretty much the same. Even though, of course, this one's grown from seed, and that down by the hen house is two apples trees that have grown from seed from a old apple tree that was over by the fence line over there, but has been dead for many years now. I actually don't remember that apple tree being alive. The stump was still, the stock was still there, but I don't remember ever seeing the original tree alive. And this is another thing that makes me happy. You see all those young spruce growing up here when you're looking this way. So I can cut down those aspen now, and those spruce will take over anyway. I can think of things to use for aspen for, but I'm not wanting to use them for firewood, so I gotta decide on what I want to use them for before I goes in and cuts them down. Because like I say, the spruce is going to take over now. They are going to die. So I guess we'll see when we get to that point. This is something that is all trembling aspen. I can plant a tree pretty much anywhere here. I'll have to dig a fairly good hole, get rid of all the aspen roots in that to get a tree growing well, I think. Now, of course, I still need to, this is one of the areas, so you got the trail, quad trail coming up here, and then I'll need to have a way, and I don't know if you can see where the grass has been beaten down. That's going to have to remain open, so there's access, quad access to the forest all the way back through there. This area here, I do have a couple of cherry trees, but for the most part, it's maple. This is a gall insect creates these on the rosebush. This is just a wild rosebush, of which, of course, I could harvest the rosettes and the berries if I want, which I've been thinking about doing. Of course, there's always a million things on your mind. There was some big aspen here that I cut down, and once in a while I might come up here. I've got a little electric edge trimmer now. But come up here with that or the pruning saw and cut down these aspen. Just let the maples grow. And damsons. So remember, I got the one damson down below, but I initially put them up here. It's just that these were taken from a producing bunch of damsons. So the genetics is okay. But standing here, there's no sign of them ever producing a flower. Now this is the one that grew the best. It does have black knot on it, but it has sent up, see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 suckers there. And this is where I got the sucker that I planted down below. So that's 6 suckers come from that one damson tree. That's another damson tree there with a maple right beside it. And another one there. I think I could find a couple more if I really look through it. But all these saplings, see, this is maples. These reddish colored ones. Along here, so we got really red maple here. There's 2 maples. The red maple out by the front fence, and then just the regular common maple. So this is the red maple. But I think this one will grow into the regular common maple like that one. Got some big birch growing, and they'll send up, there'll be seedlings around of them. But when the seedlings are really small, they're kind of difficult to tell from the cherries. They look a lot like a cherry seedling. Like right here, I think this is a birch seedling. The difference is those white spots are more of dots on birch, whereas they're like short streaks on a cherry. This is a birch. Don't know what that all is. I'm gonna go down in there and come up again though. Because last year I cut out the big birch. I was wanting to get some hardwood lumber, and I'm gonna ask my buddy if he'll loan me the bandsaw mill again. I'm gonna cut some more. But we're up here, and then I planted the black locust. Now this one, I mean, that's what it was like when I was planted there, right? So just because it's scrawny, we don't know if it'll survive or not. The rest of them looks to have survived the winter just perfectly fine. You see, this is dark going up here, but it's not winter kill, it's quite alive. And that being the healthiest one of the bunch. That one, I got some really sickly trees right there. Whichever way I follow them, now I'm following them close to something I don't want to damage, but if I follow them out that way, I can follow them right in between those young spruce there, and I should be able to get a clear fall. This one got damaged quite a bit because I had to take down a tree there and a tree there, and it was quite a bit damaged. But now of course there's a black locust 4 or 5 feet one side of him and a black locust 4 feet the other side of him, so he's probably not going to be there very long anyway. Still a little bit of snow. You see there's spruce seedlings coming up everywhere. So having a tree that I want to transplant to put out in an area where there's an open area and no trees, it's easy enough to come by. Having a multi-purpose tree on the other end, that's another story. This is one of the ones that got eat down by the snowshoe hare when I planted it there, but it was still alive. So I didn't replace that one last year. I replaced that one. It seems to have gotten through winter just fine. And another one down there. The last one down, I don't see it poking above the snow. I can't remember whether I transplanted it or was there one still alive there. Since things are just fending for themselves here, I'm not going to worry about. There was a mulberry, Russian mulberry here, and it didn't survive. But I'm not going to worry about it. There's lots of mulberry trees up here. That one is still alive. You see, we've got another juniper up here. There's several juniper up here. But I'm hoping that if there's any of the cedar apple rust on this, that it won't get down to the service berry down below. There's quite a few red mulberry I planted in here, you see. Now, red mulberry is a multi-purpose tree. It has very good wood. It grows at a decently fast rate. The leaves are edible, and of course it gives edible berries. You can grow stuff underneath it, like it doesn't completely shade it out. And it has a crisscross branch pattern that makes it good for birds, little birds building their nest in it. Now, look what I found. That's a moose. And it didn't nibble on these cherry trees as well. So it came from down this pathway here. As they do, they walk along. There's another one over there where it nibbled on the mulberry tree. And they walk along and they nibble as they go. There's quite a few birch up here. It's going to be a long time before I touch them, if at all, because they're fairly healthy birch. In the beginning, when I was putting the row of Osage orange across this path, then there was some birch right in the pathway where I wanted to have a line of Osage orange, and I cut them down. But apart from that, those birches got a few years to live yet. These two rounds here, I think the Russian mulberry on both sides are still alive. Said moose did wander over here, and it left me a gift. Moose buttons. And that red mulberry was out of its path. See, it walked along where I'm walking right now, and like I said, they just walk along, nibble as they go. A lot of spruce growing up here. So as far as the spruce forest goes, I'll have a regenerated spruce forest quite quickly. It's just a matter of how many multi-purpose trees can I get poked in among them. I have so many mulberry trees because that was the first one. When I looked through it, see, here's a birch here, see? See how the white marks are just little dots? But the mulberries was the first one that I decided that was the best of all the trees that I researched. And then when I got the seeds, you get like 200 seeds in a pack. They're only little tiny seeds. So that's why I have so many mulberry trees. And now I'm working on getting other varieties of trees. You get a packet of Russian mulberries and a packet of red mulberries and a packet of white mulberries, and they had pretty good germination. So in the end, I ended up with a lot of trees. I had to do 2 plantings of the Russian mulberry. They didn't seem to take hold as good as the red mulberry. But my second planting, I think I let them grow a bit bigger too. And they took hold better. Out beyond this now, just a little bit further, is mostly black spruce. This is the one we thought was a goner last year, but it did start to grow, so we'll see what happens this year. This is partridge berry, see? And if I get to them before the birds do, then I can get a fairly good crop of partridge berries most years. But if I let them go to fully ripe, then they'll be gone in no time by the birds. I don't have a problem with voles down below, but there are millions up here. All through the sod, you see all those little indentations? That's moles. They go down underneath and come up and go down. And there are probably quite a few of them living in that pile. When I was there earlier, I noticed, yeah, here it is. See, this is a moose. A moose walked down through here. And it left me another gift. Never did much nibbling on the trees this time. It was in the last couple of days, those prints would have been. Oh, there's it was. They had nibbled right here. See? This is really fresh. So that's from a moose. We go along, I think there's like 40 mulberry trees up here or something. We'll see what grows. I didn't think moose nibbled on aspen, but apparently they do. Nibbling away. That's a red mulberry. So yeah, this forest is making me happy now that I've realized that I can tend to it as a agroforestry thing and actually have a forest. The ideal is to make it as much of a jungle as possible, and I'll have paths through it so that I can get through it easy. Now this thing here, remember, was the one that I don't know what it is either. It's a different one. Whatever it is, the moose liked it. Ate it right back. So I've got 2 trees like that there now that I don't know what they are. So that would take up what I just showed you, about 2 acres. If we go back out here, I don't know how much snow is here. And the question I'm wondering is, okay, see, now we're back into black spruce already. This is pretty much just gravel. So the soil that's there is good soil, but look at how much rock is in it, right? How will black locust grow in that? Now these trees, something this size, that could be 100 years old. They grow oh so slow. However, because they grow so slow, that's why the black spruce is more rot resistant than the white spruce. The only reason, really. So I get some that's big enough to make a post, a short post. I drive it down in the ground, and then I just say it's cut off there. I cut down and out, then I'll have this piece on this side to attach the upright to it. So if I came out and I cleared it back a little bit when I got some more black locust growing to put there, just cleared it back and put a black locust there, how long will it take said black locust to grow up? This area here, out to the cabin road and into this roadway here, is about another acre. And that's dry land, but all gravel. I can show you here now, further. See the soil among it, it's good soil. It's just that it's right full of rock, right? And then when we turn this side, 2 acres of my property is right there. It's bog. There are walkabout cloudberry plants growing out there. I have trekked a few times. I haven't found a berry yet. It was pretty dry the last couple of years, as I've been saying, and you could actually just walk on across there and just your regular runners. It wasn't wet at all. Walking across this soil now, I might be able to get soil here and sift it to put in my beds down below, and then of course just have to amend it with compost, right? This will be the mineral part of filling a raised bed. Mostly sheep laurel, lamb kill, what's the other name? It's a rhododendron of some sort. So it's a poisonous plant. He's watching me and I'm watching him. It's a beautiful little black forest. Something once again this year. I mean, if you're tending to a forest and you got a tree to poke in somewhere, then you clear a little area and you poke it in. But if you got a healthy forest growing, then, and if you don't need the wood for anything, let it grow. Oh, this tree here. You see? It looks like a dead conifer. It's not, it's a larch. Tamac larch, it's called. Locally, they call it juniper. That's a rot-resistant tree. Osage orange and black locusts are much more rot-resistant than that. But as far as native trees grows, I think that's the most rot-resistant tree we have. This looks like a white spruce. It is too. So back here, there's some white spruce. So now we get back to the hedge, right? Because this is the road going out to the cabins. And the only thing I got here on this side now is bogland. And it'll go out as far as you can see that road. There's a turn in the road right there, but that's where the end of the property lines, and all of this back here now is bogland. I can get some organic matter here, which is a mixture of peat and forest humus from all the leaves from the rhododendrons, of course. Now you got to be careful going out there this time of the year, because if you get your boot down in the muck in that water, you'd never get it out again. So we'll go out through here. That's a trail, see, they take when the bog is drier, they can come along with their ATVs, so that's why you get the two tracks. And when it's frozen over, they go along with the skidoos. Mostly just your sphagnum peat and the occasional little scrubby black spruce in the high points. The rhododendron, you might see some Labrador tea here once in a while. Don't know if I'll be able to find you any honeydew plants here, because it's the time of the year that it is. I think they might die back and grow again every year here. They're only little tiny things, eh? When you see them on pictures, you imagine this big, huge plant. But no, they're little tiny things. And the same thing with the cloudberries. You won't see any leaves there this time of the year. So this is what we got. The reason why it's kind of a low down there, this is the main streamway. When the water is high in the bog, it'll flow down this way. That's the wettest part of the bog, and it's a little bit drier out here. So some of this old black spruce can grow up here. But I think I'll leave you now with a scan of the bog area here. The only thing I think is going to happen with respect to me, I think I should put some bat boxes out here for the bats. I don't know where they live. We have the little brown bat. I don't know where they live. But if I put some bat boxes out here, I would attract some closer to my house, right? And then they would eat the millers and that. Down right there, it's kind of a surprise. There's one of those Tamarack lark growing up in the bog. That's a surprise. But okay, that's the tour of the forest area that I have. Hope you enjoyed it. And as always, I hope you leave me a comment and give me your opinions. And I shall see you in the next video.